Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? What in the world is going on with the New Orleans Saints? Let's ask Mike Triplett. How are you, man?
I can't believe you're still having me on. I don't know anything about this team.
Neither do I. So we're just going to exist in our own ignorance. What was your preseason? Did you have a preseason record prediction for them? I don't know that I asked you
did.
that.
I predicted they would go 8-9.
Okay.
Which might as well have been 15-2 compared to what the atmosphere felt like around this team. I thought everyone seemed to think they won 5 games last year and they were going to drop down to 3 games this year. So I thought my 8-9 was a bold prediction.
I had them 6-11.
Yeah.
I looked at the 7-5 over/under. I went under. Look, it's a long way to go, but it's not just that they're 2-0, Mike. It's how they're 2-0.
Yep.
When you look at the how they're 2-0, what for you has been maybe the most impressive, or maybe a better way to say it, Mike? I mean, you saw this team in camp.
Yeah.
Like, what is the most surprising thing based on what you saw in camp?
Well, first of all, I mean, of course we all have to be cautious about what we're seeing and think, oh, this probably won't last. I mean, obviously it won't last at this level. But I really do think through 2 weeks already, like, they're relevant for the rest of the season. Like, even if they lose 3 of 4 at some point and look bad for a couple of weeks and somebody's in a slump, we've seen their ceiling now, and it's a real ceiling. And there's never going to be a point where they can't win 4 of the next 5 and get back into it, you know, even if they don't keep it rolling. So I think it's all pretty real in that sense. And it's all this scheme, this coach, Clint Kubiak, his assistants, Rick Dennison and Andrew Janoko and John Benton. It's the one thing that I actually believed in all offseason, even when we continued to see Trevor Penning struggle, and we didn't know if the offensive line was going to come together, and it didn't always look that great in the preseason games. Everything they're selling just makes so much sense. It's common sense approaches. It's learning this system from the ground up so everyone understands what they're doing. It's everyone's role working in sync with other people's roles. It's, hey, Alvin Kamara's a pretty special player. Let's get him out in space. Hey, Taysom Hill's a pretty special player. Let's have a good idea for him. Hey, Rashid Shaheed's pretty good. Why don't we throw deep to him? Like, the common sense approach to this offense is amazing. But even that is probably undercutting how creative and sharp Clint Kubiak is. I thought if the Saints were going to work, they're going to have to grind it out a little more. 15-play drives, get down to 3rd and 4 and convert a 3rd and 4. I did not think most explosive team in the NFL, for sure.
Mike, is the offensive line good, or is this scheme masking their deficiencies?
I think it's more the second one, but obviously they're good enough to make that work. And that was my biggest hope for that this offense wouldn't implode, is that they would be smart enough to know what they have on the offensive line and scheme accordingly. And if you go on our website, Nick did a great film study. Always does a really good film study, but he did a really good one this week, pointing out the creative ways that they kept Micah Parsons at bay. And it was a tight end chipped him, and then a running back ran right into him, and then when he finally got past that, Derek Carr had gotten rid of the ball. There was some stat about Derek Carr, his time to throw, and he only completed 11 passes in this game because that's all he had to complete. But
right.
He had a time to throw statistic that was the fastest since 2020. And Michael Parsons was saying, the way they made him run through that maze was something he hadn't seen before. So they're just being really smart about it. But then again, that was Trevor Penning holding up one-on-one against Michael Parsons on the 70-yard touchdown to Rashid Shaheed. And Tali Asafuaga looks great. And Cesar Ruiz and Eric McCoy, look great for this system. So Lucas Patrick played really well the other day. So they're also playing very well. But it's the whole concept is these guys are really good at seeing what they have and putting them in the right positions to succeed.
He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. Our chat's brought to you by Benny's Car Wash, bennyscarwash.com. We tell you about it all the time. Go get a Benny's membership. It's like $16 a month, and you get unlimited washes. I've done that for the last few years. It's incredible value. bennyscarwash.com. Mike, the offense has been, when you score on literally all 15 possessions, It's hard to it sounds stupid saying it. It's like they've scored in the NFL, professional. This isn't like 2A ball. This is the NFL, and they've scored on every possession. It's hard sometimes to say, how do you find what's wrong? But I would say, losing magnifies deficiencies and winning masks them. So, is there anything there that you look at through 2 games and say, we're not talking about it because they're blowing teams out, but down the line that improve there?
Well, there's a couple things. The first is because they've done so well early in games. First play of the season is a 9-yard run, and it's 2nd and 1. So they're ahead of the chains. It's not just because they're winning, but a lot of the dominance. It helps when you're up by 2 scores in the first quarter. Now you're winning the turnover battle. Now the other teams can't run the ball anymore. Now Derek Carr doesn't have to stand back there, and it's 3rd and long, and he's down by 10, and he's getting sacked. They're getting to play with a 2-score lead the entire season for the most part because of how well they started these games. So we'll find out what they look like if it's ever 3rd and 13. We'll find out what they look like if they're ever down by 10 points. At some point, those things will happen, and then maybe it won't look so easy. But they're keeping themselves out of those situations, and that's why they've been able to thrive. And then the other one that I would tell you, no matter who their opponent was this week, I would say we don't really know if their run defense has improved yet. That has really fallen by the wayside the last 2 years. They've never been good at stopping running quarterbacks.
Yep.
And these last 2 games, the other team hasn't been able to run against them because they've been down by 35 points before halftime. So they're going to find out if they can stop the run against Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. That's for sure.
Yeah, literally, my next note was about the rushing quarterbacks because you and I have talked about this so much over the years. Look, in 2021. When Hurts was a rookie, right? The Saints went up to, or was that 22? Then the Saints went up there and
2020 was Hurts's. Was he a rookie or a second-year player? But it was Hurts's first career start.
Yeah.
And he ran for over 100. Miles Sanders ran for over 100. The Eagles ran for 246 yards.
Hurts scored 3 times.
A year later they go back. Year later they go back and face him again. They run for 242.
Any reason to believe that's different Sunday in the Dome?
Yeah, we don't know if they saw that. I believe in Dennis Allen being sharp, and you get burned by that twice. They weren't very much better in 2022 against Lamar Jackson. You have to think they realize they have to do something different. There's obviously a lot of tape out there on Jalen Hurts, and the rest of the league has caught up a little bit to it, not the tush push, but obviously the Eagles are stuck in a little bit of a mire right now, so you have to think there's better answers out there, but that's been the kryptonite for sure.
If when you look at the injury report, Will Harris was absent on Thursday. I don't know if you have an update there. It said it was a shin, but if he can't go, what do they do at safety?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty natural switch over to Jordan Howden, just playing more snaps there. I think they were kind of neck and neck in the battle for the starting job in the preseason, and Harris edged him out, but it was close enough that Howden obviously has starting experience dating back to last year, and he's been playing in dime packages this year. Jonathan Abram would be an easy lift from the practice squad. So I think that's a manageable injury if you're going to have to pick one somewhere up and down the depth chart.
What about Taysom?
Tough to say. He was out there doing a lot when we were out there watching him practice, listed as limited, but a really good sign that he did as much as he did on a Thursday. I imagine he'll do more on a Friday. So obviously it seems like they skirted the biggest scare. I don't know if that limits what he does a little bit in the game, even if he does play. But definitely a good sign that it's not going to be a long-term thing.
If you end up in a close game, any concern with Blake Grupe missing a PAT? That's one of those things that you glance over when you win 44-19. What was the final 44-19? But that's one where you go
scoregami.
Yeah. Oh, was it really? Oh, yeah. I missed that. So for those who don't know, a scoregami is that's the first time in the history of the NFL that was a final score, 44-19. There's a whole Twitter account dedicated to it, which is really cool.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know how many scoregamis the Saints have been involved with, but it does pop up from time to time. But no, I mean, that would be unfair to say you're concerned by that with Blake Grupe. What was he, 9 of 9 in the first week, and then in this game, he made every other kick, 44 points. What is that? They 1 field goal and 6 touchdowns. Is that what it was? So he's 15 of 16 on the year. Yeah. What is that? 96%. And he actually, even though we witnessed some up and downs with Grupe last year, it's the first time he's ever missed an extra point.
Okay. I mean, Mike, I'm not prying for negatives here. I promise.
I gotcha.
It's when you're blowing the hell out of NFL teams, it's like you got to find something to say. All right, if you end up in a close game, what are the things? Like, I mean, Derek Carr threw an interception that was an open. Look, he had Olave open over the middle. If you're in
he did. That was a bad throw by Derek Carr.
Yeah, but he's been sensational other than that throw. So it's like, you talk about it, but you don't want to over.
Look, I mean, I felt that way about the play that Paulson Adebo and Tyrann Mathieu gave up against CeeDee Lamb. I mean, it was a 67-yard touchdown or whatever it was. It's like, it's amazing you can gloss over a play like that. There are so many games in the NFL where that one play is the whole story that we're still talking about 4 days later, and instead it was a footnote.
That's a great point. Hey, before you guys, Mike Triplett on Twitter, X, neworleans.football, neworleans.football. Our chats every Thursday brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. If I asked you, okay, so now that you've seen 2 games, you picked them 8 and 9. If I said, all right, Mike, you can redo your record, what would you, I don't know if you've done this exercise yet, but you give it a thought?
I said that gets me to 10 and 7 now, which is probably me being conservative and cautious, to be honest. I mean, you definitely get the 1-win bump because they beat a Dallas team at Dallas that I had definitely marked down as a loss. And then you get another win bump because this team's just way better than I expected. But I also thought their struggles were going to come early in the season. They were going to be a better team in the second half of the season. Learning a new offense, easier schedule down the stretch. If this is how they looked in the first 2 weeks that I thought were going to be scary and sketchy for them, I think I'm being conservative by just bumping that up to 10, to be honest. I mean, I think it's a disappointment they don't win this division right now, although Tampa Bay is also one of the hottest starting teams in the NFL.
Tampa went 1 in Detroit last week, a team that many think is a contender. Maybe
that's one that I'm sure everyone would have written as a loss for Tampa.
No doubt. Falcons winning at home again, or winning on the road against Philly. Now they get a chance on primetime against Kansas City. Mike, maybe this division's good. Maybe the cyclical nature of the NFL has circled back around.
Or maybe the NFL's a snow globe, but...
He's Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. Our chats every Thursday are brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. Visit bennyscarwash.com. Find a location nearest you. Make sure you take advantage of the Wash and Win sweepstakes right now. Ticket to the Tigers Bowl game. It's available. You'll learn more at bennyscarwash.com. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.